welcome to our Plugs Community Connection. I am your host, DJ Kitty Cat, with my sister co-host, Miss Morningstar on WKRA 92.7 FM The Change. If you're looking for the best in news, current events, community outreach programs, and shopping connections, you've come to the right place. We've got a great mix of content and community connections lined up for you this evening, along with special guest interviews. So, grab your favorite drink of choice, turn up the volume, and let's get into it.
Good morning, WKRA 92.7 The Change. This is DJ Kitty here with my co-host, Mrs. Morningstar from Our Plugs, the Community Connection. Happy April Fool's Day. Happy April 1st.
It's
Fool's
not
Day.
the first. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, my
Yes,
goodness.
it is.
April Fool's
1st.
Day.
Yes, April Fool's
Time
Day.
is flying, y'all.
It is. It's already April. Can you believe it? I know there are some little people in my house that can't wait to pull some pranks on their papa this evening. So we're going to see how this goes. He's come up with a whole list of things to do. And I'm trying to discourage him from doing anything such as eggs or whipped cream, none of that. So his idea is let's go all in, April Fool's. He's 6, So those kids,
he
they
gotta
love.
do it. He gotta do it.
It's pranks. But it is a beautiful day that God has woken us up to see and be delivered. Another day on planet Earth to see the beauty that God has given us. So, listeners out there, go ahead and grab you something good to drink, maybe water, which is always perfect. Coffee, tea, orange juice. Get you something good to sip on and come on in. We've got a great show lined up. Of course, we've got our veterans, and of course, we've got our leaders. These are my favorite days when we speak with our veterans and we speak with the leaders who are making an impact to our community. So I'm always super excited when those guys, those young people come on and bless us with their wisdom. But just like any show, before we get started, we must have our daily affirmations. And we get that from our affirmation queen, Mrs. Morningstar.
Yes,
you go right ahead. Yes, I know you got something good for us today. So I am listening.
Yeah, you know what, today, because I know our focus is about leadership, with our veterans, and then we have our amazing leaders that'll be on. I wanted to do some famous quotes by some Black leaders, some Black amazing leaders in our lifetime. And it was some pretty good quotes, some good wisdom, some things to carry us through the day. Some of the most famous Black leaders' words with us over time, quotes that can inspire learning and celebration of speaking into people. The most common way, so this is why Alice Walker, she was a novelist and a social activist. The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. I like that.
That's true.
Dr. Mae Jemison, engineer from the former NASA astronaut, said, "Never be limited by other people's limited imaginations."
Yeah.
Shirley Chisholm, a Black congresswoman, I think I'm saying her name incorrectly, but she said, "If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair." Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." All right, Dr. King.
All right then, bars.
James Baldwin, he wrote, "Not everyone that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced."
Facts.
President Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change we seek. I
Exactly.
believe that.
Our forever president.
Our forever president, absolutely, positively. Next is John Lewis. Rest in peace, John Lewis. Ours is not the struggle of one day, 1 week, or 1 year. Ours is not the struggle of one judicial appointed or presidential term. Ours is the struggle of a lifetime, or maybe even many lifetimes. For each one of us in every generation must do our part.
That is
Amen.
so true. I
And
mean, he knew.
that's true.
He
He
knew.
knew. He knew. He
Yeah.
knew. He knew this
You
would
know,
be a continuation. The last one is just one from Dr. Martin Luther King again. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
everywhere. So true. You know, we've got to start our day with positive affirmations, positivity, because, you know, the minute you step outside that door, God only knows what you'll be faced with. But if you've got that full armor, you're already in a great mood, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what's going on, you'll get through it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um,
Amen.
that's like I would tell my kids, you know, don't be in such a rush. You'll get there, you know. If you see people speeding through traffic, you should have left yesterday. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and pass me and do my slow boogie because I'm going to take in the beauty.
Yes.
Speaking of beauty, before I jump into the weather, I wanted to say to Florida, Florida, if you're listening, pay attention, Florida. We're gonna need you to go ahead and go to the polls today and show out. It's your turn to shine. Louisiana already came through. Louisiana came through. Okay, they came through over the weekend. So Florida, you're up. It's time for you to. I'm gonna need you guys to go ahead and line up and cast your vote and let these people understand that we're not doing this. No, it's a complete sentence. So don't be a fool this April Fool's bars. I can't help
Absolutely.
myself. I can't help
I
myself.
love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be silly and foolish. Make sure you
Don't
get out here and speak your voice
exercise your
and let your
right.
voice be heard because these people trying to play y'all for fools. I'm just
They
telling
really, I mean, DJT, I mean, he's doing his big one with oh boy, Elon. It's
you.
they're moving recklessly and foolishly. But anywho, let's go ahead and get into the weather. Let me do the weather really quick and then we can
Okay.
hop right into these stories. So in Holly Springs, Mississippi, you guys are gonna have a beautiful day. It's 71 degrees. I love, you know, I'm a 70s baby, so I love that. 71 degrees, a low of 63. You got about a 6% chance of rain. It's gonna be cloudy in the morning, sunny in the afternoon. You got winds coming from east southeast, about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Memphis, Tennessee, 72 degrees, good weather with a low of 66. Again, 6% chance of rain. Cloudy, winds southeast, 10 to 15 miles per hour as well. Now,
Sounds good to
Houston,
me.
I'm gonna need y'all to stop it. Houston, I see that y'all are trying to warm up, and I'm not ready. 80 degrees. It was yesterday was hot. HOTT.
Yeah, it was
Okay,
hot.
hot. With
Mm-hmm.
the low of 74. We've got about a 24% chance of rain. So I'm hoping it may cool off somewhere for about maybe 2-3 hours. You know, we're getting ready. It's going to be pretty cloudy today. Wind south coming out of the southeast, 15 to 25 miles an hour. Now on the East Coast, you guys have been bombarded with rain yesterday. And so there's a straight line of winds, tornadoes,
Mm.
threats of hail from Georgia to the Carolinas, going all the way up to New York. So you guys be safe out there because you're about to face some pretty ugly weather. It's supposed to clear up by like noon one-ish. But from yesterday to today, it's still coming down. There's particularly looking at the Carolinas, threats of, hail and damage, but there's a threat of tornadoes in DC all the way up to New York as well. So pay attention to the weather, listen in, make sure you guys are prepared. You never know. You never know. But on a good note, in DC, the cherry blossoms have reached peak bloom. And my mother used to go to DC all the time just to watch the cherry blossoms, just to see them. She loved it. So I'm going to make my way up there when we go up there next month. I sure am.
Cool.
I sure am. Absolutely.
Nice.
Yes, nice. I'm hoping for good weather. Fingers crossed. And hopefully, DC, we can get one of your female or male Black pilots to fly us on up there, because I feel safer with the Black pilot. I'm just saying,
make that call.
I feel safer with the Black pilot.
Yeah, I especially a woman too. If we can get the women, I trust the men too. So hey,
I trust
beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, but as long as we are on the melanated side, I'm okay with that. I know I can't just put my request in, but DC, maybe you got some pull. I don't know. We need to talk to our sisters and brothers and see if we can find us a flight and get us on up there safely.
Exactly.
Okay? Because we had to study 2-3 times as hard. I'm just saying, it's the truth.
Yes, we're thorough.
We're very thorough. So sis, let's go ahead and get into current events.
Some current events, guys. So let's just dive right on in. So Trump attacks the Smithsonian Black History Museum, said it's dividing America. President Donald Trump's latest executive order targeted the Smithsonian Institution, accusing it of spreading divisive ideologies. He attacks the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C., and this order pushes for a more traditional, unity-focused narrative, sparkling criticism from historians and cultural advocates who fear this move will oversimplify American history. So what does that sound like to y'all? He
segregation.
wants to wash out our true history because he wants to downplay the savagery that was done to my ancestors.
So I would just like to know, what exactly will they be putting in the museums if they're going to take away Black contributions? What are they going to put in there? Let's see, guillotines, bayonets. What else is savagery? Because that's what can somebody in the chat, in our YouTube family out there, does anybody know of any contributions that were made by those who stole people and land?
Any colonizers.
Yeah. Because what are you going to
I want to know what's the new story, Trump? Is the new story they was really good to their slaves. They made sure they had a place to live in. They had free room and board. What are you going to twist?
Don't give them no ideas.
What are you going to twist it? We know, because we know who we are. So there's nothing they can say that can take away what we already know. We know that. But the fact that they want to try to whitewash it is despicable, disgusting, and just downright savage. It's just like the ancestors they come from.
I have 2 things to say. Number one, what are they going to put into the museums to replace all of our accomplishments? Because I don't know of many, unless they, what do they call those things that guillotines? What are they? A gallows. That's what they built.
The gallows that they brought to January 6th.
So they're going to put that in the museum because that's what they're famous for.
They built those, right?
What are they going to put in there? Trees? Where they lynch Black people? What? They're going to put the selling block?
The ropes that they tied.
What are they going to put in there? Because I don't know of any contributions. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But anywho. And the second thing that I'm going to say about all of this is we still aren't moving.
We're
We're not
not.
marching.
We're not.
92% here. We're
He's looking to strip away federal funding from the
okay.
Smithsonian, and will, if they want them to put programs in place that they want, their history, their ideology of history. And if you don't do it, of course, what does he go to? He strips money from these
What's their
organizations.
history? What is their history? What history do they want to report on? Was it the part where they stole the land, or was it the part that they stole the people? What part are they going to put in there? I'm not sure. Somebody tell us. Somebody smarter than myself, let me know. Because, yeah, okay. Good luck with that. We're still not
Yeah,
moving, Trump.
no.
92% here. We're not doing it. We're not falling for it.
This next story is disturbing. It was a Wisconsin teen killed mother and stepfather and lived with the corpse for weeks. 17-year-old Nikita, young man, Caucasian, appeared in court, and he was charged with intentional homicide of his parents, Tatiana Casper, and her husband, Donald Mayer. Yeah, he was living with them for about 2 weeks after the brutal unaliving of his parents, taking videos with at least one of their bodies. Savages.
it's not very often that I'm speechless, but I,
Savagery behavior at the age of 17. Who, how are you taught? It has to be in your DNA. I'm sorry. It
that's so
has to
sad.
be somewhere. It has to be somewhere enriched in where you come from. I have a 17-year-old. I couldn't even fathom that my child would ever think in that
Even think
manner.
about it.
That's, first of all, it's scary, and then it's like,
It's sick.
it's
It's sick.
sick. Yeah.
It's sick. Okay.
His mom was 35 and stepfather was
Oh my
51.
God.
Yeah, young. And yeah, he unalived them. He stole his stepfather's pistol and unalived them. Just awful. Anyway, let's
That's
move past that.
horrible.
I
Yes,
wanted to
please.
share that because that was just one of those
Wow.
just I don't know. I don't know
You know what I heard
what they
today?
cut from.
Crazy. That's what they're cut from. But
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to change. Let's change the subject. But I am going to say something really quick. But I do got a couple more stories. But before we get into, I just wanted to ask you guys: did you guys know that Marjorie Taylor Greene admitted that she was a product of
Yeah.
I don't even know how to say it on the
Incest.
radio. Incest.
Incest.
And she's
Incest.
proud of it.
She's proud. This explains a lot of things.
It explains so much.
It explains
Blew my
her.
mind.
The bloodlines are confused. It explains the way she thinks. She is, I say she's a Neanderthal. She is definitely from that Neanderthal group. She is definitely one of a kind, baby. She is one of
And then
them.
she tells people this
Mm-hmm,
because they are so proud of keeping the bloodline pure. But look at how.
Look at how
Anywho,
messed up it made her as a person.
yes. Okay,
Unbelievable.
so we're gonna
Yeah.
go ahead and go
Last
to.
story before I
Yeah, go
let you take
ahead.
over. So nearly 500 cases of measles reported across 19 states. The CDC reported. So, of course, the start of the measles we were hearing in Texas. It's grown to 400 with 73 cases reported over the last 3 days, according to the data that was released on Friday. Amongst the cases are all unvaccinated.
All unvaccinated.
All unvaccinated individuals
Children.
are getting this right. Between ages 5 and 17, at least 41 have been hospitalized so far. This major. Go ahead.
I I remember going to school and putting my kids in school, and we had to have our children vaccinated before they could
We
even start
did. We did. So I
day
don't
one.
understand.
But as soon as the pandemic hit and that person decided to tell folks that, vaccines were bad, now you've got your kids sick. And one little girl a couple weeks ago passed, 6 years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
It's
It was
sad.
actually, I heard it was two people
Now
who
it's two.
passed. I've heard that. I can't confirm it, but I believe I heard that. And the
Y'all
CDC
vaccinate y'all
says so
kids.
far they confirmed 483 measles cases this year. 19 states: Alaska, California, Florida, Georgia, Kansas, Kentucky, Maryland,
All of
Michigan, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, and Washington. This likely is an undercount due to delays in state reporting to the Federal Health Agency.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. They don't even want people to talk about it. They don't care. They do not care about our children. They don't care about our kids eating at school. So much less getting vaccinated and living. So
I encourage everyone who is with child, make sure your baby leaves out of that hospital with their vaccinations or is scheduled for their vaccinations. Keep them
yes.
safe near you and get your baby vaccinated.
Yes.
Be safe.
Do
Don't
your
allow.
research.
Yes,
Don't listen to Fox News.
that's
Don't
right.
listen to anyone else besides yourself. Do your own research.
That's right.
I mean, come on now. Do you want to take the
This
word of
overuse of vitamin A is causing liver problems.
liver? Yeah. Because you
Be
can
diligent.
put too much of a good thing, vitamin A,
Mhm.
if you over stimulate your system like that, it affects your kidneys. These are children. Come on, people. If you got vaccinated, why would you not? And you're still walking around kicking. Why not let your kids get vaccinated? I don't know.
I get it.
I was
Well,
just
that
gonna
was
say
it for me.
something. I was just gonna say two things. Number
Okay.
one, U.S. Rep. Nakia Williams resigns as Georgia Democratic Party chair because the new bylaws passed would require that chairperson do this job full time, and I'm quite sure she has a career. That's number one, but she's been doing a great job. So good luck to you, baby. And then number two, Gen Z is getting fired for dressing inappropriately. So I'm going to tell you, Gen Zers, and a lot of you guys are taking heed. I saw a couple stories about this where they were wearing crop tops to work. That's not appropriate for the office. And if you want to keep your job, do like Steve Jobs. He wore the same outfit every day. The same outfit every day. Let's just better be safe than sorry, because they're looking for any excuse to let you go. With that being said, you are listening to WKRA 92.7. 92.7 The Change. I'm your host, DJ Kitty, here with my co-host, Miss Morningstar. We will be right back after this quick commercial break.
Timeless elegance. Redefine class. Welcome to Morningstar Boutique by Tam, where fashion at its finest, fashion that brings out your inner cuteness, and styles that make you go, oh girl, where you get that from? Check me out at www.morningstarboutique.com or at ourplugs.com. Can't wait to see you.
Hey guys, yes, this is my nonprofit, Carter's Caring Hands. And what my nonprofit does, we give fresh food boxes to those families in need that's struggling to keep food on their tables. We also go out into the unhoused community, give out care bags here in the Kalamazoo, Michigan area. So if you'd like to donate to the cause, please go to www.carterscaringhands.com and donate whatever you can, so we together can uplift those families that's struggling to keep food on their tables. Highly appreciate it. God bless.
Hi, I'm you.saysomething.biz, and let's say something together.
Opa May Simplistic Beauty is hair care and skincare in a bottle. Take a quick survey and let us design your own formula. Go to ourplugs.com, look for Opa May Simplistic Beauty, and we can get your formula out to you as soon as possible. We hope to hear from you soon. Have a great day. And we are back. You're listening to Our Plugs, the Community Connection with WKRA 92.7 The Change. I'm here with my co-host, Mrs. Morningstar. I am your host today, DJ Kitty, and today we are going to get into Veterans Voice. Veterans Voice is first and foremost on the list.
Okay,
So,
let's
Ali,
bring Ali up.
go. Yeah, let's go
Ali,
ahead
come
and
on to the
hop
stage.
on in, Ali.
Hey, Ali.
Hey, Ali, you're on mute.
You on mute.
You're pulling a April Fool's Day joke on us. Yeah, come on off mute. Don't do us like that. I got you.
How is everybody doing? How is your day going? Hoping you're starting your day off right. How are you ladies doing?
Doing good, brother. How are you?
Doing well, bruh.
It's life is life, and
life is.
Life is life, and
every single day.
We just got to make sure we make the best out of it. And there's a lot of things going on, but we can't get confused on all the craziness that's going on. We got to make sure that we are grounded and we know what's important in our center. We can't be worried about stuff that we can't control. And because sometimes that will make you, lose your focus on what you need to do to make sure that we are, centered and remain grounded. So
absolutely.
Yeah, but we it ain't gonna stop. It ain't gonna stop. We got to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So y'all are kicking off the show. I'm just listening. I'm like, let them do the whole show because
No, we need your voice. We need your voice, Sally. Don't even try it. You come on in here. I'm not a vet, so I can't speak for vets. I can just love you guys, but I can't speak for you. So what's going on? I know I've seen a couple things. I've seen a couple posts that vets are talking now, and they're realizing that Trump didn't have their best interest in hand, and a lot of these vets are recognizing that they're in trouble because he's trying to he wants to strip away everything. So what are you noticing out in those streets talking to your fellow vets?
Well, it ranges too. Some people, they vote for him and they're convinced that it's going to start changing sometime, right? The low gas prices, the low food prices, it's coming. You got to give him some time. Yeah, you gotta trust him. And the last 4 years was so terrible, and this is the best. We were going in the wrong direction. And so we have to make sure that, we're out here informing people. Some people are regretting their vote.
Yeah, I'm quite sure.
They're like, oh, I thought he was going to do this, but now I'm seeing when you fire people that support veterans, something has to click. Maybe it's going to be a delay click, but some people see the click and they're like, you know what? Maybe if I had to vote again, some of them say they will vote a different way, or not. So one of the things they're doing, and we talked about this before, is they're trying to take away the accomplishments of Black veterans, right? And they're trying to take the websites down, or they're trying to take away the information, right? Because information is history. If you take it away, you make you're trying to get rid of it, basically. So Colin Powell, another general from Vietnam, they tried to do that with him. So with Colin Powell, I think they took it down. They had to put it back. And I mean, Colin Powell, he's made history when it comes to the first Black person to be Secretary of State, and I mean top positions in the government, right? And he is not only a person, a military, a veteran, one of the people that's outstanding, right? He also puts out leadership talking points for people to make sure they're being good leaders when it comes to just not just the military, but any organization they find themselves in. And
Period.
I used to look at him way before, even I don't care if he was a Republican.
Yeah.
If leadership is good leadership.
Yes, absolutely. Regardless of political party, good leadership is good.
True patriot.
Yes.
An actual true Republican. I mean, we really want to, keep it real. That those were real Republicans back during his time.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna give you a few quotes because I want to talk about also the VA process, because a lot of the VA process is like it's complicated, and a lot of veterans don't know how to go about it, how to navigate it, right? But let me give you some quotes from General Colin Powell. I'm not going to give you all of them. It says, one of them, number 2, which is a hard one for a lot of people, right? It says, "Get mad, then get over it." That's one of his leadership quotes. He says, avoid having your ego so close to your position that when your position falls, your ego goes with it. Another one, it says, "Be careful what you choose. You may get it," right? So just be careful of what you're trying to get. He says, "Check small things," and he has little things under it why he's saying these things. Because you ever heard the saying, "Measure twice, cut once," right? Because you don't want to have to do the measuring again once you cut and it's the wrong measurement, right? And some of those things you build into your system as a habit, and you want to have some good habits that you follow by. Next one, it says, "Share credit." Another one is, "Remain calm, be kind." And the last one is, "Perpetual optimism is a force multiplier." So if you're always optimistic, it's toxic in a good way. If I'm optimistic and I'm always around you, you're like, dang, you always look at the bright side, and then you may start looking at the bright side. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing with the other side. If I'm always negative and I'm gonna drag everybody down, and you're gonna be starting to be negative too.
You're right.
I'm gonna complain about everything, and then you're gonna start finding things to complain about, because it's hard to find good things when it's easy to find bad things. You could talk about negative things all day, but perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. It builds on you. If I'm positive around you, you may end up being positive around DC. DC maybe end up being positive about around Miss Morningstar, and so on and so on. And it's a
domino effect.
And I want to say it's a toxic trait in a good way.
Yes.
Right. But he should be respected, and the things that he has done should be saluted and should be put out there. We should have a damn statue of him and not a Confederate soldier.
Oh yeah, they're supposed to be trying to put those back out there. He's doing anything to try and get us to move. We're still not moving.
What I don't understand is, our Black, veteran Trump supporters, or just Black Trump supporters anyhow, because the attack on our history, the attack on our veterans, especially our African American veterans and just minority groups, like, you see this as, even if they did put some things back, why did you remove it
in the first?
Why are you picking particular people to attack? You're picking.
Why are you picking Black people?
Black people, marginalized. Why?
So on one hand, you're deporting Latinos. On the other hand, you're trying to erase Black history. And on the other hand, you're going after LGBTQIA. Did I say them all right?
Plus,
I hope so. Plus,
it updates, and
So you're just doing any and everything.
Yeah. And another thing that they keep saying, this transgender, and they're all against this, and I'm like, you're worried about folks who are transgender, but you're not worried about the pastor in the church doing all them wrongs.
There you go.
I'm still waiting for them to come out against the pastors in the church doing the wrongs, and they move them around. Nobody's worried about the kids in the church, huh?
Mm-mm.
Can I get y'all to to start getting up and talk about these pastors.
But they don't care about that. That's not what's important to them.
When is the last time you hear a transgender person did anything to anyone?
No, I'll wait, but I can go and.
Do you have the crickets sound effects?
Yeah. No, I don't have it here, but you can open up any news article and find either a clergyman or somebody in politics or somebody in law enforcement bothering children, touching children, harming children. But I have yet to see transgender. But they're the problem.
The land of the free.
Okay.
Freedom of religion.
Ali, what do you think? What do you think being a veteran? Because veteran, I hold a special place in my heart, especially when it comes to my veterans. Now, with all the rhetoric that's going on at the VA, in particular, with the wait times are going to increase if they do not get these employees back to work. There's going to be some people that won't make it because they won't be able to get treated, or they may have to wait a long time to be able to be seen in the community. What type of talk are you hearing in the veteran community?
It's bad. There's a guy I won't say his name, but there's a guy on TikTok that I usually see him on TikTok, and the other day he was upset about the things that are going on, and he took his own life, right? And this is a thing even before the lack of services, and now you're firing 80,000 VA workers. It was a 22 a day, right? Around 22 a day before all of this. I'm not sure what it is. I know Tom said it's increased highly, but it has to increase because now
Tom said it was 22 an hour now.
Right. The wait time is gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be crazy. And I used to work in an outpatient clinic years ago. So I remember just my staff, and I was supervisor in an outpatient clinic for VA. And I remember seeing my staff caring, for the veterans that were in line. It was long lines then. And but they were able to handle, because it was more, I had at least 6 people at the front desk checking patients in and getting them set up for getting them rescheduled for their appointments. It's going to be a lot of missed marks. And that is what I personally know is going to happen. I dread that people are going to miss their follow-up appointments because they're not going to get notification before they leave, because it's crowded at the VA. Veterans are there from sunrise to sundown. They come, they hang at the VA. The canteen is a place where they like to hang and catch up with war veterans that they were in combat with. They like to socialize. Like, this is their comfort. This is comfort to the veterans.
This is their family.
Yes, this is family. So the things that are happening is going to just break up the camaraderie. It's going to get ugly before, I don't know. Before it gets
I will say this. That is why Florida has to get out there and vote. We've got some special elections coming up. Get up and go and vote so we can flip the House, flip the Senate, and impeach and remove this BS. Because if we don't, we are doing a disservice to every veteran who's ever put on the uniform and took an oath.
And one of the things too is to figure out, where and what elections are going on. What people need to do is they need to go to bluevoterguide.org. It shows you a map of the United States, and you could pick out, you could put your address in, you could put your zip code, and that would tell you what is going on with your state. So yeah, that's one thing. Bluevoterguide.org. Check it out, look at the map, and then make sure that you are participating in your local election, any special election, anything that's going on. Bluevoterguide.org.
Yeah.
put your address in and everything. Before we have to roll to the A team, the B team, the C team, they got a whole squad and team, right? So the VA process, if you know somebody who's active duty, make sure that they go to the MTF, go to the healthcare facility, document everything that happens to them while they're active duty, while they're in service. It don't matter if they're reserve, national, they got to document everything, because if you don't have a diagnosis, that is what the VA looks at when you get out. So if you say, oh, yeah, I usually get headaches, and you never went for headaches and never get diagnosed for migraines, headaches, whatever, when you get out, you can't say, yeah, I used to have headaches. And they're like, okay, show me the paperwork. And so now you are stuck trying to prove that you have headaches, but you never went, right? It's going to be a uphill battle. So everything, make sure you go to, because when I was in, right, even especially when I was in infantry, if you go to medical, they don't look at you favorably, your friends, your coworkers. They think you're trying to get out of work. So if you're actually sick, it's like a stigma they put on you, like, oh, you always going to the doctor, and what's wrong with you, right? And so that discourages people from going to seek the help they need and get it documented. The documented part is the important part, because now when you transition from being when you retire, you get out, because you don't have to always retire to get VA. When you get out and you were trying to file for the VA claims, now they're asking you, supply us with the documentation. And especially what they're looking for is, what did they diagnose you with, and what are the recurring problems that we could see? And we're going to allow when you go to their exam, their third party, for them to evaluate you and now give you a rating based on what the records say and what the examiner say, the third party examiner. It's a complicated process, but if you are a person who have folks in the military, you might want to just start learning about it, because I had to do my little thing and research, and it's complicated. Yes, there are folks out there that's helping people. So if you're just getting out, you're retired, find someone who's a VSO or somebody who knows what they're talking about, right? I currently help older veterans, because older veterans, they don't know how to use a computer. They don't know about no VA claim. They don't know about, the PAC-TAC that now gives them the opportunity to add Agent Orange to their claims. They don't know all these things. Some of them, literally, their mind are not there where they could, do this on their own, right? So it is, and I have a case right now, and so I'm working with his wife, and it's bad, and it's not like you would think the country love their veterans so much they're going to take care of their veterans. For me, we shouldn't have no homeless veterans.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't have no home. It don't matter. We should have a place where they could live, right? And so they always talk about, oh, we love the veterans, and their voting record speaks for itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the voting records, Republicans always vote against stuff for veterans. Always vote against bills. Literally, they've
They
never.
do. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm saying that they do. They vote against veterans. They vote against everybody. The only people that they vote for are for the billionaires and millionaires. Billionaires, not even the millionaires. They only are voting for the billionaires. And so that is another reason why I'm going to say this all show long. Florida, if you're listening, get out there and vote. And folks, if you know people in Florida, call them and tell them, get out there and vote, because it's time for us to take a stand. That's the only thing that you're going to find the 92 and the 80% will do. We're willing to go and vote. But look, y'all going to have to put the right candidate up there when it's time for, president, because Kamala Harris or bust. I'm just saying it. I'm putting it out there.
And one more before we roll on to our next segment. listen, everyone, we appreciate y'all. We need y'all to go to YouTube, and we need y'all to subscribe, turn on the notification. We need you to go to TikTok, do the same thing. Go to Instagram, do the same thing. Our Plugs LLC. Go there, give us a follow. I want y'all to make sure when y'all are listening to us, right, hit that thumbs up button. It helps the algorithm recognize that, and they will push us out to more people. So if you're here, you could hit the little thumbs up button, and that will help us out, right? And also make sure that you could use the emojis on the side, right? But we appreciate everybody that's here, and we see y'all, and we are grateful. We are also streaming on Instagram. It's the same thing over there. Make sure you engage with the algorithm. The algorithm loves when you engage. So we appreciate you, and we appreciate you for supporting us. And back to the host and the co-host with the most.
Thank you so much, Allie. We appreciate you for coming up and talking to our veterans. If you're out there and you're listening, just know that every Tuesday morning, this is your time. This is for our veterans to come in and listen to a vet and other vets, and give you guys the opportunity to have your voice. And if there's something that you'd like for us to cover, you can always go to Our Plugs, hit the contact us button, and give us a message. We're more than willing to talk to you guys out there in Radio Land. We are family. It's time for us to really and truly hear from our family. Our vets, that's our family, and it's up to us to show our appreciation to people who they gave their all, and a lot of us just sat on the couch. I'm going to say, hey, it is what it is. We will be right back after this quick commercial break. You are listening to Our Plugs, the Community Connection on WKRA 92.7, The Change. Thank you, Aligo. We'll be right back, folks.
Welcome to a world that sparkles. Sparkle Kicks LLC takes custom to a whole new level. You are guaranteed to find a gift for that special someone, or even a customized gift for yourself. So head on over to my Etsy shop, Sparkle Kicks LLC, and start your personalized order today. I'll be waiting to hear from you. Have a great day.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Middleton, life and executive leadership coach and owner of Radiate Coaching and Development, where we provide transformational, strength-based coaching and mentorship. My goal specifically is to support you in identifying your mission, your vision, and your values that help you take your power back as you are building your career. Whether it's within or outside of the corporate world, my goal is to really empower you in making decisions that work well for you. So if you want to reach out to me, by all means, you can email me at radiate@midspiration.com or check out my website at radiatecoaching.com.
Hello, fellow taxpayers. I'm Andre Martinez, and as the founding owner of EA Tax Pros, I can honestly tell you that our clients trust our team of highly skilled and experienced accountants. Why? Because we work with a passion to keep your money in your pockets, and we keep filing taxes simple, regardless of any situation. And let's be honest, taxes are not everyone's favorite. That's why, as a multi-service accounting firm, our professional accountants have a deep understanding in all areas of accounting, and as well as tax planning, preparation, and resolving your tax issues. We lead the way of effectively utilizing the tax regulations and IRS codes to help our clients clearly identify the path of their personal, nonprofit, and business goals. So, if you don't know how to start your business or your nonprofit, we welcome you to the EA Tax Pros team, and you will have access to our enrolled agents who have earned the highest certification of the IRS. as well as CPAs, certified acceptance agents, and QuickBooks certified pro advisors. So give us a call, 713-496-0262, or you can visit us at ea-taxpros.com. So come join the team that taxpayers trust. Also, don't forget to check out ourplugs.com, a community built with culture.
And we are back. You are listening to Our Plugs, the Community Connection on WKRA 92.7 The Change. I'm here with my co-host, Miss Morningstar. My name is DJ Kitty. We do this morning show Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. This morning, we are blessed to have some really, really phenomenal men that are going to bless us with their wisdom and their words and their encouragement. And we are going to meet someone new today. I'm super excited and I can't wait. So welcome, DC.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, Reggie. Good morning. Good morning.
Happy Tuesday, everyone.
Happy Tuesday. And welcome, Virgil. Virgil, you are on mute. Go ahead and come off mute, Virgil. And happy Tuesday to you. And happy April Fool's Day, I think. Yeah. How are you guys?
We're doing very well on this side. How about you, Reggie?
I am doing great, DC. Happy April Fool's Day. But please, everyone and anyone, although it is April Fool's Day, don't even be a fool, not even if it's just for one day.
Don't. Don't get out and
right.
vote.
Tell
Florida.
them, Reggie.
Call your family, call your friends. Florida, go vote. I'm just saying.
That's right.
Don't be a fool for Donald. Reggie, I know that you brought us a special guest, so I'm gonna go on mute, and you guys go ahead and do your thing.
Absolutely. Well, WKRA listening audience, I would just like to present a very special individual and guest, Mr. Attorney Virgil Roberts. He has represented some of our most iconic music artists of this generation. And he's, in addition to that, he is also a human rights and civil rights attorney, and he has done immense work in the community. I'll let him tell you more about himself, but I know that he has been extremely effective in education and in uplifting our kids to pathways that will lead them to realizing the heights of their power and their purpose. So I'm happy to have him. I'm happy that he agreed to grace us with his presence. And without further ado, I'll say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Virgil Roberts.
Well, thank you. You are much too kind and generous in introducing me. To say that I've done a lot of things is another way of saying I lived a long time. And I have lived a long time. And it's a pleasure for me to be here. I don't know where to start with discussing things. I will give you a brief sketch of my life story, which I think it has relevance for where we are today. At least it has relevance in my mind. I grew up a poor kid. I was a family of sharecroppers who came to California as migrant farm workers. And one of the facts that a lot of people don't know is that for many, many, many decades, California was the #1 cotton growing state in America. People generally know that America is a breadbasket, but with the cotton plantations they had in the Central Valley in the 30s, they really sent lots of contractors to the south to lure black sharecroppers to California. So a lot of Central California was populated by black farm workers in little towns like Pixley and Wasco and Shafter and Delano, all up and down the middle of California. It was full of black workers because, as we know, America was an apartheid country, and that included California. And before World War II, most black men could not get any union jobs, except for being a railroad porter. So when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor in 1941 and the United States entered World War II, it created a demand for black labor, and my father and many other folks were able to leave agricultural work and get jobs in construction and working at shipyards and things. And so what happened is the Central Valley emptied out of black farm workers, and America started the Bracero program, which brought Mexican American farm workers into California. And that began the onslaught of a lot of folks from South America that has ended up with where we are today with immigration and other things. So that's a whole nother story, the story of immigration. But the first immigration was really the migration of blacks from the South to the West.
Wow, that's extremely interesting.
There's a lot that is interesting in our history that we don't know because we're not taught our history. So at any rate, I'm going to fast forward. So I grew up in a little town called Ventura where my folks settled. They were actually living in a lemon pickers camp when the war started. And they ended up staying in that same general area. It was an area that was predominantly white, with the exception of the black farm workers like my family and some of my cousins. So I got the benefit of really a great public education because I basically went to white schools. When I was a boy, about 9, I read the autobiography of Ralph Bunche. And I'm always surprised at how many black folks don't know who Ralph Bunche was. How many of you on this call know Ralph Bunche?
I do.
Okay, that's one. So Ralph Bunche was the first Black Nobel Prize winner. And what he won the Nobel Prize for was the work he did in creating the state of Israel. He helped end the fight between the Palestinians and the Zionists. And then eventually he became a state. So he was a well-known black man, especially in Israel, and considered to be something of a folk hero there. And so he was the first black person I read about that I thought I could be like. And so from the time that I was 9, I had decided I was going to become a Foreign Service officer like Ralph Bunche. He went to UCLA, and in fact, there are a number of buildings and things on campus named after him. The political science building is called Bunche Hall. And so I went to UCLA because Ralph Bunche went to UCLA. Ralph Bunche worked in the Foreign Service, so I got involved in a program called the Foreign Affairs Scholars because I went to college in the mid 60s. And it was in that period of time when most of the African countries that we know today began to gain their independence. The first African country to gain independence was Ghana in 1957. And then in the early 60s, a number of other former colonies, Nigeria, Ghana, they all gained their independence. And so the US State Department began to look for Black and brown young folks to become Foreign Service officers. And so that was what I wanted to do. So I got an internship, started studying for the Foreign Service Officers exam. And I actually worked for the Voice of America in the Vietnamese branch in 1967. And 1967 really reminded me of what happened in 2020. In 1967, there were 107 race riots in America. It seemed like the whole country was burning up. And it was a period of time when we went from being colored people and Negroes to Black people. Um, there were books being written. The autobiography of Malcolm X came out in 1966. Uh, Stokely Carmichael and Charles Hamilton wrote their book, Black Power, that came out in 1967. And so it was a watershed thing in my life because I was basically a poor country boy who grew up in a country town. And the first time that I'd ever been around so many Black people was when I worked for the Voice of America in DC. And like many people in my generation, I became very Afrocentric and decided that to pursue what I now thought was important, I decided to become a civil rights lawyer rather than a foreign service officer. And so I came back to UCLA as sort of a new recruit to the Black Power movement. And I got engaged in starting the Black Student Union at UCLA. I became sort of an activist student. I wrote what became the proposal to create a Black Studies Center. Actually, I wrote a proposal to create an American Cultures Institute that would be populated by study centers for Blacks, for Chicanos, for Asian Pacific Islanders, and Native Americans. And so those centers actually came into being at UCLA. And then I left UCLA. I went to law school at Harvard. And when I got out of law school, and I started looking for jobs with civil rights agencies, I had a rude awakening that I'm going to tie all this into where we are today. I had a rude awakening because what I learned was that most civil rights organizations have a very small staff and they rely upon volunteer attorneys who come from big law firms, the firms that Trump is now attacking. Firms like Paul Weiss, um, you know, which is one of the first Wall Street law firms to hire a number of young Black lawyers. But those firms were the ones that really staffed and handled major civil rights litigation. And so I went to work for a large firm in Los Angeles that allowed us to do pro bono work. It was a typical Los Angeles firm that had, you know, corporate department, tax department, real estate department. It was different though in that it had a very robust entertainment department. And it's from working at that firm and gaining experience, one as a litigator, because that's what I wanted to do, but I also did a lot of litigation for entertainment clients. And I ultimately left that firm so I could do more of the kind of work that I wanted to do in the community. And I ended up getting referrals from the clients of that firm. One of our clients had been Motown Records. And so in the work that I did at the firm, I became friends with Bob Holmes, and who was assistant general counsel, who had actually started off at Paul Weiss, one of the Wall Street firms. And Bob referred to me, who I always said was my first major client in the music business, a man named Norman Whitfield. You all may not know Norman, but you certainly know his work. He wrote I Heard It Through the Grapevine and produced it. And just about everybody knows that record, I Heard It Through the Grapevine, but he did almost all the hits the Temptations did. He was the primary producer for the Temptations. He had decided he wanted to leave Motown and started his own record company. And so he hired me, got referred to me by Bob. And so I helped Norman start his label, Whitfield Records. Um, the first act that I signed for Norman was a group called Rolls Royce, and he used them to do the soundtrack to a movie called Car Wash, which has become kind of a cult classic.
Oh, I love Rolls Royce.
Yeah, Rolls.
I
So,
do. I love their music.
so as it turns out, the music business is small business. The woman who cuts my hair was married to the leader of Rolls Royce. She's married to LaQuint Job, and
Hmm.
she was Norman's niece. And so Bunny still cuts my hair today. She's been cutting my hair almost 50 years.
I
Uh,
love their music. Miss Morningstar, do you know who I'm talking about? Rolls Royce? Have you ever heard them?
Wishing on a
No, I haven't. But Car Wash, of course, I've heard that
But
song.
you never listened to Rolls
I
Royce, the group?
I don't know about the group. I might probably have heard the music, but
You
Yeah,
no.
have.
you've heard
Yeah.
you've heard the music. It's classic music, and it's
Yes.
classic. It's classic Norman Whitfield.
Yeah.
Norman was a great songwriter, producer. But at any rate, my interest never really was being in the entertainment industry. My interest was in doing things for the community, and the work I did in the entertainment business helped keep me in coffee and donuts.
Yes.
So over the years, like I represented NAACP in the Los Angeles school desegregation case. Um, I got really deeply involved in education reform in Los Angeles. And over the last 40 years, there probably have been no school reform movements here that I haven't been involved in.
I have a
Uh,
question, Mr. Roberts. I
yes,
do. I hate to cut you off, but I do have a question. Now that you brought up education, now so we all see what they're trying to do with the Department of Education, and from a civil rights, human rights attorney standpoint, what legal action can be taken against the federal government for denying its citizens their right to an education?
well, the short answer really is not much
Mhm.
because education is a strictly state local function. So the right to education is something that is a state issue. That's why Brown versus Board of Education,
Mhm.
it wasn't against the federal government, it was against the Board of Education
Mhm.
because the federal office of education does is it provides some supplements to what the states do.
Gotcha.
Education is a local issue, not a federal issue. And what has happened over time is there's supplemental money that the federal government made available. So for example, you're about Title One.
Hmm.
That's money that comes from the federal government that's targeted at kids who have special needs.
Hmm.
It's really targeted at poor kids. So poor white kids in Appalachia get Title One money. Poor black kids in Newark get Title One money, and it's just money that the federal government uses, and they put strings on it so that it's not a block grant. But the money for Title One, it goes from the federal government to the state, and then the states then distribute it out to the local boards.
Okay,
I
so
have a,
So,
I have,
so, so the loss of the Department of Education is not necessarily a big loss for the fight for educational equity. That remains a local state fight. Um,
okay,
and
so
all the federal government ever did was supply additional funding for disabled students, for students in need.
so that's for education.
Right.
So what about all of the okay, so we've got to look at social security, Medicare, and all the benefits that they're stripping away. I've
Yeah.
heard some people say, maybe we need to file a class action lawsuit. Is that even a possible, simply because they're removing all of the benefits that we've had for years, and they're stripping it away without due process.
Well, two things. First of all, there are lawsuits already on file for that. There are 150 lawsuits that I'm aware of against the Trump administration for various things. So, let's talk about what's going on right now, which is what I really want to talk about. I don't really want to talk about my background. And the only reason I mentioned 67 is because that was seeing what was happening in the country with all the race riots really transformed my life and made me think differently about my career path. And the same thing is happening now. The assault that is taking place on democracy is what we really have to be concerned about, because the way in which we have progress, and when I say we now, I'm talking about Black folks, if you think about our lot as a group of people, we were brought here in bondage. Apartheid was legally the system that we lived under, even if you were freed Black. The history of our place in the society is never really adequately taught to our people, unless maybe if you've gone to an old Black college and stuff where they really taught Black history. But Dred Scott really established the rule that Black folks had no rights in America that were to be respected by white folks. Dred Scott was the law of the land. The Fugitive Slave Act that was passed made every white citizen a potential person to be on the lookout for enslaved people. So even in free states, the fugitive slave law was the law of the land. And it was enforced all over. So you had people, come in from the South looking for slaves, and if they could find a Black person, they would just kidnap them and take them back to the South, and they'd become slaves.
Yeah,
That's kind of like what they're doing now.
Well, what they're doing now is trying to roll back the clock. And what I think that you don't see a lot of conversation about is what happened in this country. When Woodrow Wilson was president, he was the first president post-Civil War that basically purged all Black people from the government.
Virgil, I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question, and I'm sorry to interrupt. But given the onslaught that we are under, and just weighing that against your legal mind and expertise, what is a first step? What would the most strategic first step be that we could take that will begin a domino effect to change the trajectory of, righting the ship, of, turning the tide, of, course correcting all of the wrongs that are being done to us and that, are literally stripping away our ability to survive, let alone, happiness and the pursuit of happiness, but basically just to survive at this point. What is, in your legal mind, what would the best, most effective first strategic step be that we should take in your opinion?
Well, the first step that we should do is we should organize, which is one of the reasons I was happy to be invited here. There is a paradigm for how we fight fascism and overcome it. And you know what it is? It's the civil rights movement. If you think about the lot of Black folks who lived in places like Alabama, Mississippi, the Deep South, didn't have the right to vote, there were no rights that Black folks had that white people had to respect. And so there was really what I would call a three-pronged strategy that Black leaders began to implement. One was to do litigation, to really take the laws and the Constitution, to use that to establish that there were certain rights that we had. Second thing we did was we organized and boycotted. And the third thing we did is we had mass human demonstrations. We filled the jails with people so they could not arrest everybody. We boycotted businesses and stuff so that there was an economic pain they began to feel. The classic example was a Montgomery bus boycott, but there were boycotts of drugstores and grocery stores and things all over the deep South. And what it ultimately ended up doing was changing the course of history. And ultimately, we got the 64, 65 Civil Rights Acts. We got this.
He must have gotten a phone call. I believe he's gotten a phone call. Hopefully, we'll hear back from Virgil. He'll come back, but for sure, Reggie, I do want to say this. Hopefully, Virgil will pop back on once he's off his call. I want to bring Virgil back because we need to listen to how he's saying. Number one, it was litigation. Number two, it was organized. Number three, it was.
Do you remember the mixed marriages were illegal in most places?
You dropped out for a little bit, Virgil.
Yeah, somebody called me on my phone. That's why I wanted to do it on my computer. But so I had to make them go away. But anyway, the three-pronged strategy of the civil rights movement was to organize people to protest continuously. Remember the Freedom Riders, Birmingham with Bull Connor with the dogs and the fire hoses. I don't know. You all may be too young to remember that.
We remember.
We weren't there, but we know about it.
We know about it. But let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there because we are running out of time. But Mr. Roberts, what I would like to propose is next Tuesday, we will have another leadership meeting. And if you're available, part two. We want to have a part two. I'm going to talk to Ali Gold and see if we can take the entire time because I think that we need to hear what you have to say so that we can continue to move forward. This is how we're organizing through Our Plugs, ourplugs.com, Our Plugs, the community connection. And of course, if I'm not mistaken, and I believe my counterparts would agree, we need to hear from you. So if you can come back next Tuesday, we would love to have you. Go ahead.
I agree. And I just have one other question that I'd like to add on top of that.
We have 2 minutes.
Because we're looking at, martial, the threat of martial law and all of these other threats, is there a better practice that we can implement that I know that there should be protests, but is there a way of us protesting without us putting ourselves in harm's way, without us being in the streets and risking our lives? Is there another way that we can use that protest component, but to do it in a way that is safer? Yes.
Without marching, because we don't want to march.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because neither do I, because I can barely. I'm too old to march. But what I would say is, remember I said that there are three things: there are boycotts, there's litigation, and there's direct action. Direct action is marching. Boycotts and all of the three things I said, they all require an organization and support. So you may not be a marcher, but you certainly could help pull together groups that organize marches.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Mr. Roberts, I hate to cut you off, but we are running out of time.
Okay.
If you can, I ask of you, can you please come back next Tuesday? Let's do a part two, because I think that we need to do a deep dive into this. Would you not agree, DC? Reggie, Miss Morningstar, would you guys agree that we need to do it part 2?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right,
I was
so-
thoroughly enjoying this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roberts, for joining us today. I'm speaking for our entire crew. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We hope that we can, you can come back next Tuesday. We'll give you the full time so that we can actually do a deep dive, because this is the direction that I think that we are all looking for. I know I am. I'm looking for next steps.
I'd be happy to come back. I could do it 4:30. I think I have a 4:30 my time.
Okay.
I have a meeting at 5 tentatively that I think I have to do.
Okay. We'll talk offline. Offline. Reggie, DC, you guys, thank you so much for coming. We are out of time. I've got to go ahead and do our outro. Miss Morningstar, to everybody in the chat for tuning in, thank you so much. WKRA.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.
You guys have a great morning. In Florida, get out there and vote.
Yes, vote.
Go vote.
Hey y'all,
And
it's
hang on,
DJ
Mr.
Kitty
and Miss Morningstar.
We are here from Our Plugs, the Community Connection, and we will be your
I'm
new
not
morning
hung up yet.
host on WKRA 92.7 The Change.
Yes, we will be broadcasting Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time.
We'll also be streaming on YouTube at Our Plugs LLC.
Be sure to tune in.